back to the Let's Talk About It podcast. My name is Raquel and I am your host. Thank you guys for joining me today. Happy Saturday, everyone. I hope everyone had a great week. I hope you were able to face all of the challenges and use all of your resources to tackle those challenges. And I just hope you were able to be the best version of yourself possible. And no matter what, remember, I'm proud of you and you should be proud of yourself for getting through this week. Um, this week for me, it seems like I always have something going on. Um, and I struggle with trying to decide whether or not I wanted to really talk about this. Um, when I told my wife about it, she was a bit against me bringing it to the platform. It is a bit personal, but I personally feel as if my testimony, because I feel like this is a true testimony, that my testimony can help someone, definitely opens your eyes to the bigger picture and not, it helps you realize that you don't have to worry about the small things because at the end of the day, God got you. And yeah, I'll just jump right into what happened and my process and how I got through it. And yeah, so story time. um I Even now, like, I just feel like I'm like, you don't really want to say nothing, but okay. So boom, your girl's car got repoed. Yes, you heard it here first. I know a lot of people probably wouldn't want people to know about this. I know it's an uncomfortable conversation for me to have, especially publicly. Um, but it's a testimony, and it's a beautiful testimony. Anybody that I've told about this circumstance that has happened in my life, they all say that it's a blessing from God. And I just personally feel like sharing this it just shows the world like the blessings of God, and it's not materialistic. Um, so yeah. So basically, my car got repoed. I decided that I was gonna wait to make a payment, and um, your girl was 26 days late. We were just in a space this month where I just was a little bit overwhelmed with bills and my car note being extremely high. And we purchased it from a buy here, pay here dealership. So they don't have grace periods. You can't call and say, "Hey, I'm gonna be late this week." And I was paying $700 a month for a car that was only worth, I believe the dealership told me, like $12,000, $14,000. Um, and I had been trying to refinance the car, trade it in, get a different car, just so I can get with a good bank. And this has been going on for about a year now. I've been really trying to get out of the car, and based off of my credit, I kept getting, well, you need a $3,000 down payment. You need a cosigner, just a lot of, the stuff that you hear when you go try to get a vehicle, and you don't have good credit. So after a year of hearing the no's, I decided to go ahead and start working on my credit. I'm currently working with a company called Equal. If you guys don't know about the company, I definitely suggest you check it out because they have helped me and my wife's credit tremendously in the past 90 days. So shout out to them for also making this happen. We'll get to that. Anyway, so yeah, so I got into a very bad situation with the car because we needed a car. We didn't have one. So we took what we could get with whoever could offer us a car, and we got stuck with that. Paying $700 a month plus car insurance, so roughly around $900 to $1,000 a month for a car that wasn't even worth what I was paying. And almost 2 years having the car, never missed a payment. And I think this time, because I had never missed a payment, I was like, they're going to see my payment history. They're not going to come get my car. And it's funny because I was talking to my coworker and I was like, girl, let me go see if my car outside. And Lord behold, car wasn't there. They came and got it. And for some reason, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I didn't get upset. I didn't get worried. I didn't get frustrated. I didn't doubt anything. I was just like, okay. I told my wife, I said, you know what? I have no room to worry. I have no space to worry because it's in God's hands. At the end of the day, he knows that we need a car. He knows that we have a child. He knows that we would be here today. And in that moment, I just automatically thought like, it's out of my hands. It's in his hands. And I just left it alone. I started making calls, trying to look for a different car, trying to get advice on should I, go pick up the car or should I, go get a different car. And the thing about it is that it wasn't that we couldn't afford to keep the car or couldn't afford to go get the car. It was just the thought that, okay, so now the car is gone. Should I go get the car and still pay this $700 car note for a car that's not worth it? You've been bamboozled by this car dealership, or should you just try to look for another car? So my thought process was, if getting a new car was cheaper than getting the car out from being out of the pound, then I would do that. I went through Capital One. They couldn't give me a car, so I ended up, a lender said that they could get me a car. So I went through them, a car dealership. I started talking to them and trying to, get all the pieces. Getting the car is a very nerve-wracking situation. So just getting the pieces together, letting them know I didn't want to come to the dealership. I didn't want to waste time. I had $1,000 down and what I wanted my monthly payments to be. So the guy tried to work with me. And he said he would call me back and get with me and let me know what he found. And I was sitting outside and something said, go to CarMax. Just go to CarMax. I scrolled through CarMax for maybe about 30 minutes, maybe an hour. And I found a car, a Mazda with 8,000 miles on it. And it was 2021. And I'm like, no, this ain't it. Like 2021, 8,000 miles. Like this can't be. Something wrong with it. Something got to be wrong with it. I look at the Carfax or whatever. 2 owners, no car wrecks, checks out. So I do the application, y'all. I do the application. Mind you, I started working with this credit place 90 days ago. When I did the application, I merely did it because I was like, what? Like, absolutely. Like, I have to try. I have to at least try. I put in my down payment that I had, which was $1,000. I put in the amount that I wanted to pay monthly. And by the grace of God, y'all, I got back an approval with the down payment. And they didn't even ask to check my employment. Like, they didn't ask to verify check stubs, nothing. And this was the first time ever that I went to a dealership and only spent max an hour and a half, 2 hours. And that was test drive, paperwork, and just leaving. So probably not even 2 hours. So, getting approved that in that instance, I was like, no. I still was shook because I'm like, this dealership, because the other dealership called me back and told me like, hey, you're going to need $2,000 down. You're going to need you might need a cosigner. It was just a lot of different things that I was going to need to work with that dealership. And to go to CarMax and for them to approve me with pretty much everything that I had on my checklist that I needed to get a new car, God checked it off for me. God checked it off for me and did it in such a delicate way that I was mind blown. Like, what? And I didn't know if my credit was where it needed to be to get a car with $1,000 down payment. I haven't been in that situation. before. So to know that all of this happened, and it happened in 24 hours. Our car got repoed overnight. I woke up the next morning. Thank God I was off, so I didn't have to like call out or anything. Woke up the next morning. I was in a new car by 4 p.m. that day. Never in my life. And um a lot of people, may watch this and be like, oh, well, why you didn't take care of your business, this and that and the third. Aside from all of that, because as I mentioned, I chose not to make the payment on the car, based off of my own personal decisions. But instead of allowing that one moment to shift my day, instead of allowing that one moment to get me frazzled and, you know, that one uncomfortable moment to define everything mentally that I have accomplished, emotionally that I have accomplished, to go down the drain just because how that one moment could have impacted me. I gave it to God. I gave it to him and I trusted him, and I just knew. I don't know why, outside of just having faith, but you know how sometimes your faith is shaky and you don't know like where it is. In that moment, I had 100% faith that God had me. And he did. Like, that is the testimony. The testimony is, don't let the devil repossess something that God has for you. Had I allowed the moment to mentally take me off course, I wouldn't have been able to think straight. I wouldn't have been able to put my faith into God and say, God, you got this, and give it to him. The first thing I did when I realized it was gone was I said, I got to give it to God, because at this point, if I don't get another car today or whenever the case may be, then I don't know. And, as I go through my journey, God has never left me behind. He has never not shown up for me. And I knew in that moment that he was going to show up for not only me, but for my family. He was going to show up for my family and make sure that everything was okay. And he did. And I'm not a materialistic person. I'm not a car person. So if I didn't have a son, if we didn't have our child, I would have not probably gotten a car. And mainly because I would have thought that my credit wasn't where it needed to be, because we were working on getting a house. So, I probably would have waited. But in this instance, I hopped on it and he made a way. He definitely made a way. And I know how embarrassing saying your car got repoed it can be and it can feel. And I created this platform to talk about real shit. I created this platform to talk about real emotions and real life things. And that was a real life event that happened to me. That was something that many people go through, and many people don't want to talk about it because they feel like, they have to prove something to the world. And I'm at a point in my life, I don't have to prove anything to anybody. Do I still care what people think sometimes? Yeah, of course. It happens. We are human. But I'm learning and I'm growing, and I see that my life is my life. I'm in a lane, a journey of my own, and that's part of my journey. That's part of my testimony. That's part of what makes me who I am. And these moments where I can reflect on the grace and the favor of God just makes me realize, like, why wouldn't I share that with people? Why wouldn't I share with people how, no matter what the situation is, no matter how it looks, God is the one that opens your doors, and God is the one that walks you through them. God is the one that put his hands on the other party to make sure that whatever situation or circumstances you're going through, that it flows smoothly. And like, how could I not share that with somebody? How can I keep that to myself and not share that with the world? Like, no. So all pride aside, like, don't be ashamed of your story. Don't be ashamed of the mistakes or the things that has come across your path, because it makes you who you are. And your story may help somebody else. Like when I went to go get my stuff out of the car from the pound to put in the new car, um the lady at the pound, she was like, "Oh, you got your new car already?" And I told her, how I found it, 8,000 miles on it. She was like, "Oh my God, that gave me chills. Like, that was a blessing." Yes. Share your blessings. If you've been blessed this week, share your blessings. And it's not gloating, it's not boasting. It's helping people understand that in the midst of a storm, God shows up. Even when it seems like he doesn't show up. Even when he didn't show up in the same situation before. Maybe it wasn't just the time yet. Just like I said in the beginning, I had been trying to get out that car for a year and kept hearing no. But God knew that I would be here. God knew 90 days prior to that, hey, Raquel, sign you and your wife up for credit repair, because he knew I would be here. And I can only know that as long as I put my best foot forward, as long as I do the things to make sure that I'm living the best life and the most healthiest life and the most sincere and genuine life, good things will come to me, because I am making sure that I pay my blessings forward. And not because I want something given back to me in return. It's because I want to see people happy. I want to see people blessed. I want to see people at peace. And I think we all are striving for that. And our testimonies help people see that they're not alone, that in a world full of facade where people have everything and they have all the glitz and the glams, that stuff still happens. Like, people still go through low moments, people still go through storms, and it's about how we get through those storms and how we get out those storms and how we come out of those storms. Like, how are you presenting yourself, or how are you handling the chaos when it comes your way? And that's why I say, don't let the devil repossess something that God has for you. Don't let him steal your joy. Don't let him steal your testimony. Just like when my wife was like, "Well, you don't think it's too personal to talk about, what happened? You don't think people are going to talk about you?" Well, I mean, if people talk about me, hey, but at least people are talking about the blessing that God put in my life. So don't miss that part. If you decide to say, "Hey, Raquel's car got repo," don't miss the part where God blessed her with a brand new car, basically brand new car, 6 hours later. Just don't miss that part. If you're talking about it, don't miss the blessings of God, because that's the point of the story. The point of the story is God always shows up. He always gives blessings. He is always covering us in moments where it's just like we can react negative and we can give the devil what he wants and just focus on the negative, or we can remember not to worry and not to harden our hearts and our minds and just give it to God. And it's not easy. I'm not saying that it's the easiest thing known to mankind, no, but when you're in your walk with your faith, you have to at some point, how can I say this? Well, you have to at some point just trust God. Stop wondering, okay, if I do this, or if I give this to him, or if this is the one he can help me with. He can help you with everything. He can make sure life is simple for you. We just got to go to him. We just got to give it to him. I'm still working on that every day. I'm still working on going to my Bible. I'm still working on praying and talking to him, because regardless at the end of the day, I know when I fall short, I'm like, dang, I messed up again. Or if I fall short, I'm like, dang, I disappointed God again. but we can't disappoint him when he knows our journey because he's the one who created it for us. So I came here to just let you guys know that you are not alone in the things that you are going through, that people are also out here struggling and making a way out of no way and allowing God to work in their lives and make things happen for them, because without him we are all just sitting ducks, honestly. So I really hope that this testimony helps you realize that you witnessed a testimony, witnessed a blessing, experienced a blessing, and you share your blessings. You share your testimonies with the next person and realize how much you expressing or telling that embarrassing story helps the next person. You never know what your testimony can do for the next person. And that's all this platform is here for, is sharing testimonies, allowing people to see like you're not alone and we're all human. Shit happens. And, it's a reflection or a reaction based off of our choices and our decisions. But at the end of the day, we're all human. None of us are perfect. None of us are making the best decisions every day. But when we wake up every morning and put our best foot forward, and we know that we're trying, and we know that we want this specific type of life and this peaceful type of life, and we keep including God and we keep chasing after his glory and asking him to touch our lives, that's the first step to becoming a better version of you. That's the first step of opening your heart to knowing that you can share your testimony, that you don't have to be embarrassed about the dark days or the current days where you feel like you have changed. And like, right, for me, I feel like at 32, this is not, I definitely didn't want a testimony about my car being repossessed at 32. But it is what it is. And this is the first time that I can say something of this type, of this nature, and express it to people or tell my story, and I'm not sad about it. Like, I don't have anxiety telling you this. In the beginning I did, but just really getting it off my chest and like letting you guys know that real life happens and you're just not alone. Real life happens and you're just not alone. So thank you guys for tuning in. I had date night tonight, so I try to make this as quick as possible because I still got homework to do, and I did want to make sure I came on here and shared you guys my beautiful testimony, my beautiful story, my blessing, and I hope I'm able to reach anyone who is going through something and that needs a piece of encouragement or a piece of light to know that you aren't alone, that God got you, and you one step closer to getting exactly what your heart desires. So thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to watch the Let's Talk About It podcast on all streaming platforms. I will be here every Sunday or every other Sunday. I'm not sure, but just know that I will bring the love. I will bring the peace and the joy. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Check us out on TikTok and Instagram. Love you. Bye.